Welcome to How I Broke That.
Brindala Mallappa has always been surrounded by extremely smart, strong, and successful women. Her mother was one of 7 children, all women, and also they were all well educated at a time in India when women were not given many chances to learn. But a family full of women as role models did not mean that life was going to be easy in India or the United States for Brindala. By watching our show about this smart woman with very sage advice, you'll learn about how Brindala forged her own career as a thriving business owner, all while building a family in America. Why her company of about 1,000 employees values each and every member of their team, and especially their mental health. How she merged her passion for women's safety and technology to create GuardOn, her attempt to make the world a safer place for everybody. Breakers band together as we talk to this exciting and experienced entrepreneur. Welcome to the stage, Brindala.
Thank you, Josh.
How are you? How is suburban DC?
Suburban DC is starting to warm up. Now we are finally seeing some summer weather.
Yeah, and it goes from spring to summer overnight, and then it's time
Correct.
to roll. Yeah, well, thank you for joining us. I think this show is going to be very impactful, and could at times be intense as well. But having sat with you over coffee and had conversations over WhatsApp, I think you'll guide us through to the other side to be able to learn a lot. Um, First off, you have learned a lot from the women in your life. A family of very strong and highly accomplished women is how you described it. Can you talk about the role of women in your life?
Yeah, surely. I think like everyone, the first teacher in their lives is really their mother. The mother has taught them their alphabets, taught them how to speak. So similarly, I owe a lot to my mother and all her sisters. One of my mother's sisters was the first woman speaker of state assembly in all of Asia, and
Mm,
another sister of my mother's was a doctor, and she was the first one to do a test tube baby in India. So they were all
wow.
trailblazers. So I was very fortunate and blessed because I had such strong women, such strong personalities to inspire me. They always said, you put your mind to something and you can do it. So I owe them a huge debt of gratitude.
Yeah, and uh, when you talk about uh, the influence of the mother, we also got a chance and have had many conversations outside of work, because we have a professional relationship about being a mother and also a
Mhm.
father and raising kids. So, can you talk about, raising kids and how that's been for you? You have 2 very successful children.
Well, when I first had my children and when I was growing up, I was a huge feminist. I wanted to fight to get everything and fight for equality. So when I had my daughter, I thought that that's exactly what I should do. I should bring her up to make her feel that there's nothing she can't do that a man can do. So that's how I started to bring her up. And then as she got a little bit older, I realized that there are some things that she must learn, and she must learn to make smart decisions. While she can compete at par with the boys for a lot of things, there are some things that she should know are not right for her. Going
Mm,
jogging at 4 in the morning, going to a bar and getting drunk with strangers, these are not smart choices. And she's going to have to make a lot of these choices throughout her life. And I said, while I try to make her as strong physically, mentally, emotionally, financially as any person out there, she needs to also have the intelligence to make these wise choices, because she's going to come to a lot of crossroads in her life, and she's going to have it's like driving a car. Every
mhm.
crossroad you decide what's the wise choice. And I wanted her to do that. So I changed a little bit. I had to modify my parenting
Hmm.
skills. I had to say that let's not try to make her a superwoman. Let's try to make her a wise woman. And that's what I started to work towards.
This is
Equality is
that
good,
sage.
but equality, I think, is has to be balanced with some wisdom.
Yeah, this is that sage advice that I was talking about in the beginning, and I continue to appreciate, and I am translating a lot of this and taking it into my own house. You also said something in our pre-interview, um, that that you feel like you got an MBA right after, after parenting these two guys. You're very smart, but you got another degree, and so it's not easy.
No,
Um,
it's not easy.
so
Children are super smart, and they know how to manipulate you. So, all this reverse psychology, they catch on very fast, faster than you've, learned it. So it's fun. It's really fun to bring them up, and it's very challenging to try different things and see what works and what doesn't.
do you think that there are differences that you have found? And I have a very nice relationship with your husband, Kishan, who's also given me lots of sage advice between the role of a mother and a father in raising the children.
Yes, I think the fathers are more driven to uh, performance, and they're always encouraging the children to do very well academically in life, and financially and all of that. Whereas women are trying to give them a more balanced approach to life, where they're
Mm,
saying that no matter what, take time for yourself. Make sure that you are strong, make sure that you are in a good position mentally, and that you don't overdo something. Make sure, so that's kind of the difference. But both parents mean well. Remember, these
yeah,
children don't come with a user's manual, so we
yeah,
learn things along the way. And with the first one we make a few mistakes, and we learn to do it better with the second one. And that's why the second one becomes so independent, because you, as a parent, you have also changed. So there have been
yeah.
studies that show that the firstborn and the secondborn are very different. And not because they are different, it's our parenting style itself that is different.
And then comes the third one, and that
Yeah.
is what I am, and nobody really gives a crap. And we end up being who we are, and yeah, I mean, birth order, especially in my family, is exactly how you would expect it from my sister Helen to my sister Rachel to myself. So I understand what you're saying,
Yeah.
especially being the baby in the family. Um, you know, I want to tone it down a little bit. um, ever since we started talking, I was able to do a little bit of research on an incident in India, that involved a bus and a gang rape, and actually is a very chilling incident, and it obviously had an effect on you, on the country, and on the world. And I'm wondering if you can kind of talk about the incident, for people who don't know about it, and then also how it affected your life.
It was a case of a girl going with a friend, a male friend, to a movie. And so she had somebody, for safety. She saw the movie, and they came out of the movie together, and they saw a private bus parked outside and got into the bus. There were five, six other people on the bus, and they thought it is safe because there's some others too. You know, then they found, as the bus started to roll, that all of them were part of a gang. Then they threw her friend off the bus, and then they gang raped her brutally, brutally, and the girl passed away. It was such an unfortunate situation, and it really shook up the whole country. But these are incidents that happen again and again and again, and girls end up just becoming a statistic. And it's not just
Mm.
in India, it happens in all over the world. And that's why I said that we have to be very smart in our choices. we have to protect ourselves. We have to take the steps to make sure that folks know where you are, what you're doing, all of those things. It's very important because we have a lot to lose. The criminal
Mhm.
element has nothing to lose. And
Yeah.
girls need to understand that, yeah, you can conquer the world, but you have to be alive and you have to be in a good mental state to do that.
Yeah. Yeah. I read, and I know that there was a documentary made about the incident. So I have tried to cue that up. But it really looks like, um, obviously the incident was bone chilling,
It
which
was
is
horrific.
two words, horrific.
Yeah, yeah.
Um, However, it did look like laws were passed. So that
Yes,
is good.
laws were passed, but a law won't be able to fix something after the fact.
Sure.
So many
Sure.
times we do a post-mortem and we don't do
Hmm.
something, preemptive to stop it. You have to be able to do something to prevent these things from happening, not try to fix it after the fact.
True. And we're going to get to that. And this incident caused you to take action. Um, and I'm not surprised. The next thing we're going to talk about when you were at age 57 here, um, is that you do take things on. You are super strong, and all of those wonderful things, except for the fact that you can also take too much on at times, and your body will tell you when you need to slow down. So, talk about what happened when you were 57 and how you rebalance things.
I don't know if I took too much on, Josh. It's the way I reacted and responded to life that changed with time. With
Mm,
experience, you learn that that every exam is not going to be the last exam. You're going to have a lot of these exams in life. Your daughter falling sick, being someone being in the ICU. All of these are trials and tribulations of life. So it's not what happens in life; it's how you react and respond to it, and that I learned very late in life. I wish
mm,
I had learned those skills because that's what prevents all this damage from happening. So at 57, I ended up with angioplasty. And it was, again, I should say, I'm very fortunate that it was also preemptive. I just went for a test, a regular treadmill test, and they said, if something looks off, let's do an angiogram. And I said, sure. And the doctor was confident. He was like, 99% we're not going to find anything. I said, let's hope so, because I knew
yeah.
there might be something. You go looking for trouble, you find it.
Yeah.
So he was talking to me through the whole procedure, and he became silent. And I said, "Oh, ha, he's found something." So then he goes out of the operating theater, and then he says, my husband pops his head in and says, "You have two blocks, and they're asking what you should do." I said, "I'm wide awake. He could have asked me that. You're coming back to ask me." He says, "That's not our protocol. We don't ask the patient. We always ask family." I said, "Yeah,
Wow.
please fix it. You're already in there. If you can fix it, fix it." So it was preemptive, and I didn't have a heart attack. They went in and they put a stent in, and I'm fine. But that's what made me realize that you have to focus and change your priorities in life. And I made sure I did that. So it made me a little bit more self reflective. It made me focus a little bit more on I think my own spiritual journey, and I wanted to be able to contribute a lot more to society. I thought that I should give back. This was the
Yeah.
time for me to give back. This was a message for me to give back.
Perfect segue. It's like you've been doing this forever, and give back you are. And let's talk about GuardOn. I have a special relationship with GuardOn. I started talking to your husband about it only because of we got connected through some of my work in the education space and talked about the work you guys have done in education. Then he mentioned GuardOn, and I said, "No, I'm really interested in GuardOn." And it's because of a scary incident we had in my life. Can you talk about GuardOn, what GuardOn does? And you wrote here the belief that every human being has a right to be free and, in capital letters, safe. Talk about that, please. GuardOn.
So I don't know how many times men feel this, but women, when we walk into a kind of dark parking lot, underground parking garage, where it's 10:30, there's no one in the office, and you're heading home because you were working late to try and climb that corporate ladder, you have a sense of unease. You have a sense of discomfort because you can be overpowered physically. Not all of us can take on, we are not black belts in judo or karate or anything, so there's a slight sense of unease. And that this so I always tell women, pay attention to your sixth sense. Make sure that, because fear is a good thing to have, because it'll keep you alert, it'll keep you aware of your surroundings. If you're overconfident, that's when trouble comes and you don't even see it come. So our employees, now it's a global environment. Everybody is working 24 by 7. So women are working late hours, men are working late hours. And it was always a concern to me that women needed to have something that they could use as their safety shield. Okay, so we've developed this product, GuardOn. It is an application that runs on your phone. So you don't need another gizmo. If you want to, and folks are not comfortable with the gizmo, you can always have a device that you can press and it will send alerts out. But the thing is that it just doesn't send an alert out to everybody. It sends an alert out to who you want notified. So there are a set of trusted contacts that you can list and say, these folks need to know that I am in trouble or I'm here. Whatever the messaging is, the app allows you the different options, saying, I have a medical emergency, I have a vehicle emergency. The other beautiful thing it does is, if I'm in a place where I'm not quite sure that it's safe, so I'm walking to my car and I want to just make sure there's nobody, there are no intruders in the car, and I want to get into the car, lock the doors, I have a mechanism called a safety shield. I can keep my finger on that and walk to the car, and if I am accosted, I just have to take my thumb off of it and the message will go out. It works in that manner. Otherwise, I get into the car and I disable it after I feel I'm secure. So there are
Mm.
many safety mechanisms like this. If it's not just women, if a senior citizen has a fall and he or she can't reach their phone, can't reach the cell phone or the landline or an emergency button, this is voice activated. You can say, help, I need help, and it will dial out. There is a 24 by 7 monitoring service for this. So they will send out the responders, the emergency responders, to help you. So we tried to look at all the different ways that we could help to make people feel more secure and be able to do something if they were in trouble.
Right. Yeah. One thing that has really struck me about GuardOn and we talk about this a lot is you're not nobody is saying don't go for that run. Nobody is saying don't travel. Nobody is saying don't live at the age of 60 alone. Just saying live safely. Go out, go GuardOn, right? Obviously, I've drank in the Kool-Aid. I believe in GuardOn. We have GuardOn on our phones, on our watches here where I live, and I've got a community of people around me now who do, and I feel safer with it. So, can you talk about the fact that nobody's saying don't do these things, just do them with safety?
Of course, because society has changed. We are all, women have become very strong contributors to all societies. We are working on all fronts. Even the military has women in it. So women should continue to do these things, but do them with as many guardrails as possible. Okay, not take off without letting anybody know where you are. So just make these smart, wise decisions, and GuardOn is another aid to help you in that process.
Yeah, and this is a merging of two things here, especially kind of well, probably more than two things, but your desire to protect women and technology. Technology can save lives. You said
Definitely.
that. Talk more about that.
Definitely. Yes, definitely. And we should use technology for that.
Talk more about the team that you have, who I've gotten to know really well in India, that I know is working day and night, to make sure the technology is good today and better tomorrow.
They're a dedicated team, and they I think inspired, because finally everyone keeps hearing of these things. Nirbhaya's was one case, but there are such cases coming up all the time. We've heard of the Me Too movement in the US, right? We've heard of so many of these cases, and almost it desensitizes you. So the team finally feels that we can do something about this ourselves. So everybody feels that you have a neighborhood watch. You have people, because people have this intrinsic goodness in them, and our team really wants to contribute and help people. They are very strong technically, and we are trying to use the latest technology as it becomes available. We incorporate it into the product to make it more easy to use.
Yeah, I've gotten to know the team. They're fantastic people, and so I can speak to that. Um, you know, there's another shift I think that it's happening. Um, Employers caring about their employees, or when employers don't care about employees, employees saying, "You better care about us." And one way, especially with employees being around the world, working remotely, that potentially an employer can show that they care to employee would be to have something like GuardOn, wellness checks, things like that. So, can you talk, because you have 1,000 employees? So, can you talk about a, your belief in that you need to care for your employees, and b, how GuardOn can do that?
So even before I became a parent, the company was co-founded by me and my husband, and it was my first child, my first
Yeah.
baby. So to me, my employees come to me with their issues, with their problems. I try to help when I can, and I strongly believe that they spend so much of their waking hours working, and if they are not in a good environment, if they're not appreciated, if their mental wellness is not taken care of, then you're doing a huge disservice to your employees. And employees will go way above expectations if you also respond in the same manner. When you show you care, they automatically care. It's in our nature to do that, and if we can take such good care of our pets, of our dogs and cats, why can't we do that for people? Why can't
Hmm.
we treat people well? So in Ion Idea, um, our employees are number one, and we really want to give them that kind of attention. So this was just one of the many tools that we use. And after COVID, you know uh, most people are working, most companies are in a hybrid mode. So we
Right.
have folks coming into the office maybe 2-3 times a week. So there are a lot of things that we are doing as a company. We're trying to do all video calls, because on the video at least you can see, and you can see if there is an issue. You can see that that person is sad today or is happy today, or whatever it is. You can show your concern. You can't do that. So we're trying to reach out as much as possible remotely. And with GuardOn, it's kind of like a health check.
Yeah.
It lets us know that that person is there and is in trouble. If in trouble, they can reach out to us. Just that makes them feel more secure and makes us feel that, okay, we are, if necessary, they will reach out to us. We are available and we are ready to help.
Yeah. Ion Idea, for those who don't know, but totally should check it out, is kind of the mothership. And GuardOn is part of that. And so Ion Idea was not built in a day. GuardOn was not built in a day and is still being built, and I love watching it. But talk about how you understand, and I think this is important as a co-founder of GuardOn, that you will need to earn the trust of people, especially when it comes to their safety, and you're willing to wait and earn that trust with GuardOn.
So we are not a fly-by-night operator. We've been in business since 1991, okay? And so we've been around for a very long time. We have put a lot of money and a lot of time and effort and resources into GuardOn because we believe that there is a need for it. And people uh, think that, if I take this on, if I install GuardOn, it's kind of like an admission of fear. It's not. It is an attempt on security. Why do people buy life insurance? Not because they're going to die, but if something happens, you have life insurance there to take the necessary steps to take care of your loved ones. So similarly, health insurance is there in case you fall sick. It's there so that you can take care of it. So GuardOn, if you install GuardOn, if you start using GuardOn, doesn't mean that you're going to get attacked. Okay, and that's not why you're doing it. You're doing it as a preventative measure. That's what it is. So we are here, and we want folks to use it. We want folks we want the trusted contacts also to see the benefits, want them also to use it. So we have put in a lot of time into this, and we are willing to go the whole 9 yards, and we will be with this until we make sure that it is accepted, because I think it's a great product. I think not just women, senior citizens, children, women, men, the LGBTQ, anybody that feels that, hey, I can be a target, and I need some kind of security, some protection. This is a great resource for you.
Yeah, I appreciate that. I appreciate you being on this show, and the format of the show for people who are listening for the first time or watching for the first time is that the first 15 minutes we always talk about the personal side, because I think that's really important to understand in a founder, the ups and the downs. And the second part is usually kind of what they're currently working on, and there's ups and downs in that, and you took us through that. And so we appreciate you being very clear about parenting, MBAs in parenting, and then the value of what GuardOn is doing, the passion behind it. And I hope that more people get to know GuardOn, and it begins to kind of spread in a good way. And you guys, I know, are a great family, great entrepreneurs, and so good things happen to good people. So we're going to be cheering for GuardOn for a long time.
Thank you for having me on, Josh.
Yeah, thank you.
Thanks for listening to How I Broke That.